My name is Mark Dizard, and I'm a substitute teacher in DC Public Schools. I've been teaching for about 6 months. I took the summer off. I'm in graduate school. I'm getting a master's in teaching art at the secondary level. My background is that I'm a painter, and I'm from Washington, D.C. I graduated from the Corcoran in 1987. And I've been talking to my friend Trista about the difficulty of the circumstances of teaching art in DC Public Schools. And I was describing a story, something that happened to me last week, where I was in a, I was substitute teaching at a junior high school called Alice Deal, and I was in the teacher's lounge, like between periods, and I ran into another substitute teacher, and the substitute teacher, I asked him what he was teaching, and he said graphic arts. And I asked him if he'd had any experience teaching art, and he said no. Bilious. And so I told him that I was studying to be an art teacher, and he was very enthusiastic about it. He wanted me to talk to his students. So I volunteered to teach or to guest lecture in a graphic arts class. The class met in the auditorium because they did not have a regular classroom. They did not have a regular instructor or any materials. They'd been promised computers, but they had no computers. They had nothing, really. So I go in, and it's a class meeting in an auditorium, and I start. First, I understand that it's first necessary to elicit from the students what they already know about the subject. So I start out by saying, has anybody here, liked drawing, or has anybody done any art, thing in the past? And it turns out the students, one of them had won a design competition for U.S. Treasury bills. Another one was the daughter of a museum curator. They wanted to talk about shows that they'd seen in Washington at the galleries. They knew a lot about art. Nobody had ever asked them any of this stuff. And they were really psyched. And then I kind of start throwing out big questions like, do you need a pencil to make art? Is art something that is made by one person, or can it be made by many people? And they're like, well, my favorite movie is this. And I'm like, well, how do you think a movie is made? How many people participate in making a movie? And they're like, hundreds, And I'm like, well, so maybe art could be made by hundreds of people at the same time, or one person at the same time. So they're really jamming on these ideas, and but they're constantly going like, when do we get our computers? Or when do we get a regular classroom? And I'm like, well, have a little faith. Don't worry, the school system won't let you down. It's okay. It's going to work out. The school system cares about you, and we're going to do the best job we can with a little bit of resources we have. And another kid's like, well, but about the computers again, when do we get the computers? And I'm like, this is great. I said, what's smarter than a computer? And they're all like, people. And I'm like, and how many people have we got here? They're like, 10, And I'm like, so we've got 10 supercomputers right here, right now, and we're just fucking rocking it, we're like, whatever, And so the kids are getting wrapped up, and it's all this great stuff, and the ideas are flying and stuff. The message comes over the loudspeaker, and the loudspeaker is always on 11. It's it's so loud. It's and the loudspeaker is saying all the various sections of the graphic arts class, which is being taught by a substitute teacher, come to the auditorium now. So they come to the auditorium, and we're in this conversational group, in kind of a round circle, doing an idea generation thing, right? And the principal comes in, and he's like, what are you doing in a circle? Get in straight lines, sit in your chair, And he's like, okay, now it's complete silence. And he's like, okay, you're talking, go to the office, And so they all have to sit in straight lines, they're all sitting there. He's like, complete silence. And he's like, okay, this is an ad drop form. This class no longer exists. Graphic arts has been canceled, completely canceled. And you have three options. You can either take French, you can take band, or you can take orchestra. If you've had an instrument before, like if you have like a woodwind or something like that, you can be in orchestra. If you don't have an instrument, you can be in band, right? We'll teach you how to like play an instrument. Art is like canceled, right? And like I just felt like my legs had been cut out from under me, you know? That I'd like promised them that like the system would like teach them how to draw or whatever, give us some research, something, right? But no, it was like more like, yeah, no, sit down, shut up, look forward, don't smile. It was like fucking boot camp, you know? And you know, I mean, what made me mad was that, like, I had got them excited. I had actually made them excited about the idea that we were going to make art. And, you know, I don't know, I just feel like when I was in high school, like, I was always like, fuck the system, blah the system, and like, now I realize, like, well, it's not like fuck the system, it's like manipulate the system, make the system work. But like, when I try and do my thing and the system goes like, no, you know, that's just irrelevant, fuck it, you know, art has like no place in the world, like aesthetics is like a joke, you know, there's no such thing as aesthetics, you know, there's no like good, bad, true, not true, whatever, you know, and I'm just like, I don't know. It really made me mad. It really, and I was so upset. I was upset for like 2 days, you know? And I'm still upset about it, but I mean, I was like my stomach, like I had like acid stomach for like 2 days about this thing. Because it made me look like a fucking dick. I mean, I promised them, you know, something, you know? I was like, you know, even if we don't have materials, I mean, I was like, okay, let's say you have like no art materials like we have now. Can you find art materials? Can you like go to a dumpster and like get some stuff and make a collage, you know? And they're like, well, yeah, we can, you know? And they were like, we want computers. And I'm like, well, okay, maybe you don't get computers. Like, as an artist, maybe you don't get what you want, but
today we're doing
you can still do stuff. Yeah, you can like make stuff, and like what you need is an idea. You need a thought, you know? And, you know, whatever. And they just, I mean, I just felt like they cut the fucking legs out from under me, you know? They made me look like a dick, you know? And like, they crushed these kids' hope, you know? And it's fucking sad, man. It's bullshit, you know? But it's weird, I mean, like, America participates in aesthetics to a large degree, but like, we're not conscious of it. Like, it's only like, as though it were not, you know, a study, but just like something that happens anyway. And the fact of the matter is, like, everything people do is a studied activity, you know? Even like, let's say, whatever, when you're like 3 and like you're mad at somebody, you go like this, you know? But when you're like 25 or something, you know, you like know how to hold yourself, you know, whatever. Like, you know, and the same thing with aesthetics. Like, when you're like 3, you go like this, but like by the time you're 25, you're going like this, you know? But like, somebody had to tell you how to do it, you know? Somebody had to go like, no, you hold your hands like this, you know? Whatever. I mean, they're not giving them the basic skills they need to survive as complete people. They're not thinking the big picture.
Creative in a critical way, or critical.
Yeah, a reflective, critical way, basically. And yet, like, they're constantly emphasizing that, like, we want our students to be able to argue, you know, elaborately. We want them to be conscious. We want them to be, you know, but they don't.
Cultured.
Yeah, cultured, right. They don't do the obvious thing, which is like teach them art, you know? It's the best way to teach people civilization is teach them art, you know?
But thanks very much, Mark.